Most of us have hundreds of online connections and almost no one to call in a crisis. The heathens had a solution for this. It was called simply the guest host bond. And yeah, it was binding. Welcome to the Pagan Temple. I am Matt, and this is another Temple Talk, which means we're not diving into a structured lesson today. This is simply a conversation or a reflection. Something I think that everyone needs to hear. If you've ever felt like your spiritual community is, say, a mile wide and only an inch deep. Today we're looking at two concepts from heathen tradition: hospitality and oaths. These are specifically Norse and Germanic heathen ideas and where I'm pulling from, and rooted in texts like the Havamal. So if you're on a different path, stay with me. The core question here is, how do we build connections that actually hold? It's something that every modern practitioner is probably wrestling with and can probably take something from this temple talk. So let's go get into what the Havamal actually says about guests and hosts. So the Havamal is a collection of wisdom poetry from the Poetic Edda. It's one of our primary sources for how the Norse people thought about good conduct, and it spends real time on hospitality. That's really the whole first section is all about hospitality. This wasn't casual talk. The guest host relationship in heathen tradition was a social contract. When you welcomed someone into your hall, into your home, you took on responsibility for their safety and well being. And they, in turn, were expected to honor your home and your generosity. This is a concept often called Frithgarðr in Old Norse scholarship. It's the piece of the household extended outward toward guests. It's like a safe space. It transformed a stranger into someone you were accountable to. That word, accountable, it's doing a lot of the work here, okay? We live in an era of networked isolation. You could be followed by 1,000 people and still have nobody who knows your name in a crisis. The guest-host relationship solves a specific problem. It creates mutual obligation. It says, I see you. I am responsible to you. You are responsible to me. This is not casual. This is the foundation of a community that functions under pressure. Modern pagan spaces often emphasize individual practice and personal growth, and that's absolutely valuable. But the heathen tradition points towards something beyond the solitary practitioner. It points toward the tribe, not the tribe in a romantic or an exclusionary sense, a tribe in the functional sense, a group of people who have made explicit promises to one another. That's it. Talking about promises, that brings us into oaths, the second part of this talk today. In heathen tradition, an oath was not just a figure of speech. It was a binding commitment with spiritual weight. Breaking an oath was not just a social failure. It was a fracture of your own integrity, your own personal weird. And weird, for those who are new to this term, is roughly the Norse concept of fate and consequence. The actions you take weave into who you are and how the world responds to you. Oaths were woven into that. Think of it like a big web, and oaths were like really strong cords in that web of your weird. So what does this look like in practice today? It doesn't have to be elaborate ceremony. It starts with saying what you mean and just meaning what you say. It starts with treating the commitments that you make to your community with the same weight the Havamal gives to hospitality. When you show up consistently, when you follow through, when you are present for someone even when it costs you something, that is an oath in action. So here I have a practical question for you. How do you actually build this kind of community? Well, just simply start with the guest host principle. When someone new enters your space, whether that's your Discord server, your in-person circle, or any other online community, treat them as if you have taken on responsibility for their experience. Now, I'm not saying taking responsibility for their spiritual path, because that's theirs, but responsibility for making the space safe and welcoming to them. Then move toward explicit commitments. I'm not talking, again, dramatic blood oaths, but real commitments. Show up to the study group that you said you would attend. Follow up on the conversation you promised to continue. Acknowledge when you fall short of all of this. Be honest to yourself and keep these Commitments. The Havamal puts it plainly: a man who gives nothing gets nothing. Reciprocity is the architecture of community. And if you're exploring heathenry or any path that draws on Norse tradition, I want to invite you to think about community. And if you're exploring heathenry or any path that draws on Norse tradition, I want to invite you to think about community not as a nice bonus to spiritual practice. Think of it as like part of the practice itself, because it is. And I ask, if this resonated with you, bring it into the Grove, our Discord community. It's the place where these conversations can go deeper. I'll put a link in the description. And I'd love to know, what does real reciprocity look like in your community right now? Is it there? Is it working? Is it missing? Let's talk about it. See you in the Grove. And I just want to thank everyone listening to this video for being the best part of what I'm doing at the Pagan Temple. And I hope to see you in the next one.